Have you ever wondered why the notion of owning a home feels increasingly like a distant dream? As we stand in the year 2024, this question is more relevant than ever. The housing crisis is escalating at an alarming rate, with prices soaring to dizzying heights. The dream of owning a home, once a rite of passage for the middle class, now seems more like a mirage shimmering in the distance. The gap between the wealthy and the middle class is stretching wider, like a chasm that threatens to swallow the dreams of ordinary folks. The struggle to secure affordable housing is real, and it's growing. It's a grim race against time, with the middle class caught in the middle, grappling with the harsh reality of being precariously perched on the edge of homelessness. This is the reality for many middle-class families across the globe, and today we delve into this unsettling reality. Imagine a family, much like yours or mine, teetering on the edge of this crisis. A crisis that's more than just an economic statistic or a buzzword in the news. It's a reality that's biting hard, and it's biting the middle class the hardest. Picture this. A family that once lived comfortably, now finds themselves in an uphill battle against the relentless tide of rising rents. Every month, a significant chunk of their income is handed over to the landlord, leaving little for other essential needs. Their budget tightens, the belt cinches in another notch, and they find themselves juggling bills, deciding which ones can be put off and for how long. Saving for a down payment on a house? That's become an elusive dream for many. The gap between their income and the cost of housing widens with each passing year. The dream of owning a home, once a cornerstone of the middle-class identity, is drifting further out of reach. But it's not just about the financial strain or the evaporating dreams. It's about the constant gnawing fear. The fear of a single unexpected expense, a medical emergency, or a job loss. Any of these could be the push that sends them over the edge, from struggling to keep a roof over their heads to having no roof at all. Every day they walk on a tightrope, balancing precariously between a life they've known and the specter of homelessness. The stress, the anxiety, it's a heavy burden. It's a burden that children carry to school, that parents carry to work. It's a burden that's reshaping the very fabric of our middle-class society. This is not a scenario from a dystopian novel. This is not a hypothetical scenario. This is a reality for millions of middle-class families. It's a reality that's forcing us to redefine what it means to be middle class in the 2024 housing crisis. And it's a reality that demands our attention, our empathy, and our action. The housing market, once a beacon of hope for the middle class, has transformed drastically. It was once a landscape where the dream of homeownership was practically a rite of passage. It was a time when a modest income could secure a comfortable home, a yard for the kids, and a sense of security. However, over the years, this picture has radically shifted. Homeownership, once a common middle-class aspiration, has become an elusive dream for many. The housing market, a realm that once promised opportunity and stability, now presents a steep mountain to climb, an almost insurmountable challenge. A multitude of factors has contributed to this tectonic shift. Firstly, the cost of living has skyrocketed in many parts of the country. In many metropolitan areas, salaries have not kept pace with rising housing prices. The gap between income and home prices continues to widen, pushing the dream of homeownership further out of reach for the middle class. Secondly, the supply of affordable housing has dwindled. New housing developments often cater to the higher end of the market, leaving few options for middle-income families. The competition for these affordable homes is fierce, often leading to bidding wars and further driving up prices. Lastly, the economic turbulence of the past few years has left many middle-class families financially strained. Layoffs, reduced hours, and the rising cost of basic necessities have all eaten into the savings that could have been used for a down payment on a home. In essence, the housing market has evolved into a challenging landscape, marked by high prices, limited supply, and economic uncertainty. The middle class, once the backbone of the housing market, is now often caught in the crossfire, struggling to keep pace with these changes. It's a complex issue with no easy solutions, but one thing is clear: the housing market has become a battlefield with the middle class often on the losing side. The impact of this housing crisis on the middle class is far-reaching and profound, a statement that echoes in the minds of countless families as they grapple with the reality of an escalating housing crisis. Let's dive a bit deeper into the consequences this crisis is having on the middle class. The first and most immediate impact is financial stress. With skyrocketing house prices and stagnant wages, families are caught in a relentless cycle of high mortgage payments, leaving them with little to nothing for other necessities. This financial pressure is not just about numbers on a bank statement, it's about the constant worry of making ends meet, the fear of a single unexpected expense, the stress of juggling bills, and the uncertainty of the future. As the financial stress mounts, a more sinister threat lurks in the background, the threat of homelessness. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? The middle class, the backbone of our society, teetering on the edge of homelessness. Families who once dreamed of a white picket fence now face the horrifying prospect of losing their homes. This is not a distant possibility or a worst-case scenario. It's a reality for many. But the impact of the housing crisis doesn't stop at financial stress or the threat of homelessness. It seeps into the mental and emotional well-being of individuals and families. The constant worry, the sleepless nights, the strain on relationships, all these take a severe toll on mental health. And what's worse is that the stress and anxiety can often lead to other health issues, creating a vicious cycle that's hard to break free from. The housing crisis is not just about homes, it's about the lives of the people within them. It's about the single mother working 2 jobs just to keep a roof over her kids' heads. It's about the elderly couple fearing they'll lose the home they've spent their life building. It's about the young family, just starting out, wondering if they'll ever be able to afford a home of their own. The housing crisis is not just about homes, it's about lives and livelihoods. In the face of this crisis, what role does the government play? It's a question that demands a deep dive into the complexities of housing policies and their impact on the middle class. To begin with, the government has a significant role in shaping housing markets. It does this through a myriad of policies, such as zoning laws, tax incentives for homeownership, and funding for affordable housing. These policies can either make housing more affordable or exacerbate the crisis, depending on how they are implemented. One of the primary tools the government has at its disposal is the creation of affordable housing. This involves subsidizing housing costs for low-income families, either through direct cash assistance or through tax credits to developers who build affordable units. Affordable housing not only provides a lifeline for those on the edge of homelessness, but also stabilizes neighborhoods and improves the quality of life for all residents. Rent control is another policy that has been used to keep housing costs in check. By limiting how much landlords can increase rents, these laws make it more feasible for middle-class families to remain in their homes. However, rent control is a double-edged sword. While it can provide immediate relief for tenants, it can also discourage landlords from investing in their properties, leading to a decline in the quality of the housing stock over time. The government also has the power to influence the housing market through macroeconomic policies. For instance, by keeping interest rates low, the government can make it more affordable for people to buy homes. However, these policies can also fuel housing bubbles, as we saw in the run-up to the financial crisis of 2008. So, in conclusion, the government has a vast arsenal of tools to address the housing crisis. But the effectiveness of these tools depends on how well they are tailored to the needs of the middle class, and how well they are balanced against the need to maintain a vibrant and competitive housing market. The government has a crucial role in mitigating the housing crisis, but is it doing enough? That is a question that we must all ask ourselves as we navigate through this tumultuous era in our nation's housing history. As we look forward, what does the future hold for the middle class in the housing market? Gazing into the crystal ball of the future can often be hazy, but some trends are clear. The middle class will continue to face challenges in the housing market. However, there are potential solutions that could turn the tide. The future of housing for the middle class could involve a more diversified approach to home ownership. We may see a rise in co-ops, community land trusts, and other forms of shared equity models. These initiatives allow for collective ownership and control, reducing the individual financial burden and fostering a sense of community. Additionally, a shift in the design and use of living spaces might be on the horizon. With the rise of remote work and the increasing need for sustainable living, multifunctional and eco-friendly homes could become the norm. This would not only cater to changing lifestyle demands but also make housing more affordable and environmentally friendly. But these changes won't happen in a vacuum. Systemic change is needed. A shift in societal attitudes towards housing as a right, not a privilege, is crucial. We need to move away from viewing homes merely as a commodity and towards seeing them as a basic human right. This change will require collective action and government intervention. It's time for bold policies that prioritize affordable housing. This could involve more robust rent control laws, increased funding for affordable housing projects, and tax incentives for developers to build low-income housing. Moreover, we need to restructure our financial systems to ensure that they serve the needs of everyone, not just the wealthy. This could mean rethinking credit scores, underwriting standards, and the role of big banks in the housing market. The future of housing hangs in the balance. It's up to us to tip the scales. Together, we can create a future where everyone has a safe, affordable place to call home. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. The future of housing awaits us. So, where does this leave us and what can we do about it? We've traversed the landscape of the 2024 housing crisis, its impact on the middle class, and the precipice of homelessness that many are teetering on. We've looked into the eyes of the evolving housing market and the government's role in it. Now it's time to bring it all together. The housing crisis of 2024 is a complex beast, a storm that's been brewing for years. Its roots lie deep in a combination of rising house prices, stagnant wages, and an ever-growing population. The middle class, once the bedrock of our society, now finds itself on shaky ground. This crisis is more than just numbers and statistics. It's about families, dreams, and the very fabric of our communities. The urgency of the situation cannot be overstated. Every day, families are forced to make impossible choices between a roof over their heads and other basic necessities. The effects of this crisis ripple out, touching every corner of our society. We are all affected, directly or indirectly, but in the face of such a daunting challenge, we are not powerless. There are steps we can take, actions we can perform, to alleviate the burden of this crisis. Raising awareness can be the first step. Talk about it, share your knowledge, keep the conversation going. Advocate for policies that keep housing affordable and accessible for all. Support organizations that provide assistance to those struggling to keep a roof over their heads. And remember, every little bit helps. The housing crisis is a challenge that tests our resilience, our compassion, and our commitment to one another. It's a challenge that calls for collective action, for unity, and for a reimagining of what a just housing system looks like. The housing crisis is a challenge we face together. And together, we can find a way forward.